Christina Andreoli, who runs Discover Central Mass and Vice President at the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce, and Sandy Dunn, who runs the DCU Center, among other things, and also is the co-chair of Discover Central Massachusetts, a new organization which just celebrated its first year anniversary. So Discover Central Mass is part of a statewide assembly of regional tourism councils. Maybe, Christina, you could tell us a little bit about what these regional tourism councils do or are supposed to do.
Sure. About a year ago, the state, through the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism, designated us as one of 16 regional tourism councils across the state. So some of our partners include the Berkshires, all the way to Cape Cod, and Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket. So Central Massachusetts shares that designation, and our primary mission is to market and promote the region and its assets. It encompasses Worcester, as well as 35 cities and towns in Worcester County. And we spend our day making sure that visitors know about the offerings in the region so that they're able to come and enjoy what we have to offer. Mm-hmm.
And Sandy, you've been involved in this in a few different ways over the years. Back when I was mayor, Mike O'Brien, you know, maybe on the city side, people didn't feel there was that level of partnership with the Regional Tourism Council that was needed, or enough focus on Worcester, and Destination Worcester was established. And that led to the city focusing on some things. But now, with kind of new leadership, with a new board, we're better able to leverage the city money with the state money and private dollars to kind of have an impact, not just in Worcester, but the region. And maybe you can give a perspective on that.
Exactly. You know, the convention center actually opened 19 years ago. So an important part when you have a convention center is that you need to be selling the city as a destination. So you go back 19 years ago, and there were monies from the city that were designated to be able to market and sell the convention center. Well, clearly we were bigger than that. There's other things to market and sell, whether it's regattas on the Lake Quincy or events that take place at Holy Cross, WPI. So Destination Worcester was formed with funding to be able to just focus on selling the city of Worcester as a place to bring events. This expansion really has been about tourism marketing in addition to selling the city for an event location or a convention location. So it's been terrific. Certainly the whole area is important for tourism as well as events, but all the offerings that we have. So we're happy that finally the state realized that doing this as one agency was going to make sense.
And so the work in trying to bring, you know, tournaments and conventions to the DCU Center or to other venues in the city, to bring athletic events all around, you know, would be on the Lake Quincy or AAU tournaments. We've got a huge girls softball tournament that is coming in or is in town that fills up restaurants and hotels this summer. That's all part of the work every day that continues.
Correct. You know, that's always been the Destination Worcester work that has been there, and now we're overlaying that with Discover Central Mass because we're also able to market just to the broad visitor into the area. And there's a lot of assets in this area to be able to enjoy.
And Christina, you mentioned 35 cities and towns. I mean, it's really kind of the best of both worlds. Worcester, great urban experience, arts and cultural venues. But when you get out to some of the towns, you know, the whole kind of agritourism things, you know, how we, you know, pitching that?
Absolutely. In places like Sturbridge, where you have Old Sturbridge Village, which is a living historic museum, Southwick Zoo, which is the largest zoo in New England. These are great assets that the region has, and we're able to really showcase what we do well, which is that beautiful New England region with, as you said, the urban edginess of a city like Worcester. So it's actually very appealing to visitors to want to come out here. I think our biggest challenge is making people aware of these things and that they exist here in Worcester County.
And that's why this kind of I guess consolidation or kind of a merger is so important, because we're able to leverage dollars. And I think that was really the impetus in creating Discover Central Massachusetts, because quite frankly, Worcester and Central Massachusetts wasn't getting its fair share of travel and tourism dollars from the state, which is based upon, it's not an allocation equally that goes out to each region. It's based upon match monies.
Correct. It's based on a number of criteria, but one of the biggest ones is your hotel occupancy. So the monies that we receive are monies that are generated from a sales tax for hotels. So that's why one of our biggest missions is to make sure that we have heads in our beds. And we do that through tackling meeting planners and convention planners who bring in attendees over multiple days over multiple days, so that they're able to stay in our hotels, eat at our restaurants, shop at our retail stores, visit our cultural attractions. And so that's one of the ways that the allocation is looked at. It also is based on your area and your offerings. We're the second largest city in New England, so that helps us tremendously. And then we're able to then leverage the private side. So they look to make sure that your hospitality industry is as invested as the state is in your region. And we do have a very invested group of hospitality professionals. I report to a 28-member board, which is chaired by Troy Siebels, who's the president and executive director of the Hanover Theater for Performing Arts. We're represented by Indian Ranch, all of the chambers of commerce in the Wachusett Valley, Blackstone Valley,
Central Mass
Central
South,
Mass
Auburn,
South.
Webster, Dudley, Oxford. So our partner affiliate chambers all have a voice and a seat at the table. So you've got kind of that good balance, both the city and the region.
Exactly.
This also gives us a voice, and now that we're designated as that RTC, it gives us a voice at the state level. Though we were certainly vocal in the past, we now have a seat at that table of 16 RTCs. So one, we're rolling up everything to do in central Massachusetts through all the state mechanisms, massvacation.com. We're also able to talk about the region and the needs of the region on an equal playing field with the rest of the RTCs. So that's been terrific.
That voice is important, and we've got 2 minutes, and we'll probably go into this next segment about that. But right now we're in the middle of the budget. The legislature had House and Senate, I think, put about $6 million in for the regional tourism councils. Part of Governor Baker's reductions included a $3 million cut here. So there's an opportunity for people who want to advocate for the region, state dollars coming back, to talk to their reps and senators to maybe encourage an override of that so that that money could be restored.
Mm-hmm. And visitors are a mechanism that are bringing monies to the state. So it's not like we're asking for monies that aren't earned. The monies that are dedicated to the RTCs come out of bed tax and meal tax, which is driven by the visitors into the state.
We've been talking a lot about Discover Central Massachusetts. It's 1-year anniversary and the success to date. And Christina reminded me off air, I referenced the softball tournament, but we also have a baseball tournament in town. 800 athletes in the city and playing and competing with families, athletes from all around the Northeast, hotels, restaurants, exposing themselves in many cases for the first time to Worcester and the region. That's an example of the work that Discover Central Mass is doing every day.
Absolutely. In fact, I got a call yesterday from the Hilton Garden that they had 4 baseball teams show up at the same time for check-in, so they were thrilled. But yeah, they stay in the hotel rooms. Their families are going to go out to dinner at the restaurants along Shrewsbury Street in the Canal District. Hopefully they'll take in some of the cultural amenities that we have to offer, and they'll really get to experience the region and the city. And I think that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll leave here and they'll tell people what a great place Worcester was to have their tournament.
And we want to thank the City of Worcester City Manager Augustus, the Park Department, for working on helping us, leverage and get those fields up to speed, and as well as some of the other venues, the college and university, which is universities, which have partnered with us on it. But we talked in the first segment a little bit about what do we feel the attractions are for the region. There's what the city has to offer, what some of the regional venues. But part of this is, like the baseball or softball, for example, they come in, but then letting them know there are other opportunities here while they're here to maybe go for a trip or stay a day later. How are you trying to kind of market that and promote that?
So the world of advertising and marketing is changing every day. A lot of people are utilizing their phone to find what they need to find. So this coming year, we're going to focus on a digital campaign that really targets visitors once they get into the city. While it sounds kind of Big Brother-ish, people can actually now target people on their phones to find out where you are. So if we know that you're in the city, we're able to maybe shoot you a text or a pop-up ad that tells you about the restaurant scene. We'll do things like continue to push our website, discovercentralma.org, and we do everything from visitors guides and maps to the families. We'll leave things on their beds at the hotels that kind of give them a sense of the things that they can do in the region. We have a really good relationship with the hotels as well as with the restaurants, so that even their employees are sharing some of the things that we're able to tout about the region. So putting that together and aggregating all of that information is a big chunk of what we do, so that people feel that they're armed with the data to be able to inform the visitor.
And Sandy, you run, a major organization and business and venue that helps do that every day. And there's been some great events that you've had recently, concerts, tournaments. We've got UMass, Holy Cross basketball, hockey, NCAAs. So, as you've kind of been able to see the trends and what's happening downtown in new hotel rooms, how do you kind of see things 5-10 years out?
Well, clearly we're on a rise. The new hotels are going to make a huge difference for us and who we're able to market to. We've had a terrific set, state and regional events that we market towards, but the more hotels that we're able to do, the more events that we're going to be able to market to because of the added room nights. A big piece of what we do is pushing people out to other locations. We run on our video board information about the area so that people maybe are coming to the DCU Center and going home, but we're hoping to expose them to more information about the area so that they return at another time. Certainly for the tournaments, when they're staying overnight, working with DCM, making sure that they get the information in advance of coming here so that they can stay a couple extra days, maybe go down to Sturbridge, go up to Wachusett Mountains, ski for a couple of days in the winter, extend their vacation while they're here. The more that we're able to know who those attendees are in advance, the more we're able to give them the information. The world has really changed with us. Almost everyone's buying their tickets now online or on their mobile phone. We capture their email address. So we're able to serve up information 2-3 days before they come or a week before they come of, hey, you're coming to the area, why don't you stay 2 extra days? Why don't you try out these restaurants or attend this other similar type of event while you're here? So it's really become much more one-on-one society to be able to talk to somebody who's coming to the area.
Right. And you mentioned 19 years ago the convention center was built. That added a whole new element in terms of our ability to bring people into the city. But the main arena was 1982?
34 years.
34 years. But the city, again, has stepped up. City Manager Gustis, the council, taxpayers of Worcester made a major upgrade to the actual arena, and maybe you could just touch on that.
Well, I continue to give kudos to this city. SMG as the private management firm, we're in a lot of cities, and this city has continued to make sure that they put the investments in that are necessary. We rent the building, so like anything that you would rent, you need to keep it in terrific state-of-the-art kind of condition. So the city's done a terrific job keeping it up. They've just recently authorized another $26 million for the next phase of construction. We're reviewing, 10 years ago, we did kind of a long-term plan of what the improvements would be. It's 10 years later, so we're revisiting that, making sure that those decisions for Phase 3 are still the right decisions.
And in Phase 3, we're hoping the state to participate. If they're going to do an expansion to the BCEC,
Exactly.
It shouldn't just be about Boston. How can, in the same way the state partnered with the city to do the exhibition center in the hall, we're going to probably be talking to them once we finalize the plan, right?
Exactly. It's always easy to spend a lot of money, unfortunately, but that is what happens. Some of the plans on the table are the ones that we had looked at before, which would be improvements in the seating area of the venue, continuing to try to connect with the urban area.
And I just don't want to underscore. I mean, you in particular, working with City Manager Augustus, the Figs and Pigs. There were some design mistakes when the Centrum was made. Creating just walls that didn't interact with the street.
Exactly.
You have opened that up. Worcester Wares, a great local shop. Figs and Pigs, opening up the atrium as a part of that second Phase 2.
Exactly.
Much more interactive with the street.
Yeah, we should be part of downtown, not a walled building that only opens at night or when there's a convention in the building. So that continues to be something that we look at, is how do we continue to engage to the outside of the building.
And that third phase would look to maybe create that same experience along Martin Luther King, Major Taylor, Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Correct. And the other piece that we've looked at recently is that we really could use new meeting rooms in the facility. We are pretty small for meeting rooms. We have a lot of clients that come that need 14, 15 breakout spaces. We have 6. So we'll work with the architects to see if there's a reasonable return on investment to put in additional meeting rooms into the convention center. Convention center has not been any hotter than it was this past year. So even though people are getting very digital, we're also finding that people want to convene together. They want to see each other, and the way they're doing that is conventions.
And just in the 2 minutes we have left, I mean, we're all excited, 400 new hotel rooms coming online, but that still doesn't get us where we need to be. So we've got to be out trying to get some additional hotels. And just tell us why, Sandy.
Well, you know, the headquarters hotel, a full-service hotel, is very important for the city. So the AC Marriott is going to be a full-service hotel. This year we are bidding on NCAA. This is the round.
Basketball.
Basketball and hockey. NCAA now is bidding all their championships, and they're bidding 5 years worth. So it's 2018 through 2022. They're looking for full-service hotels, and the basketball requires 9 hotels with certain room capacities. We're barely meeting it, and we will still have to house a lot of people in the east, north, and south.
And Christina, when you're out, we're trying to recruit conventions and events, that's part of the...
It absolutely is. I mean, the feedback that we get after an event, when an organizer calls us, it's always positive. Their experience at the DCU Center is always positive. The biggest challenge we face is that we're unable to keep all their attendees in the city of Worcester. So our neighbors are definitely benefiting from that, but I think if we could advocate for more hotel rooms, that would definitely be the next step.
And then it even allows us to go after even bigger ones that also can help the
Absolutely.
region too.
Exactly.